I must study politics and war that my sons may study mathematics and philosophy in order to give their children the right to study painting, poetry, music, and architecture. Art, therefore, is arguably a culture's truest legacy. But why art? Isn't it all just apples and oranges? Isn't it all merely relative, purely subjective? Let's talk a little bit about art and science. Now, what's something called the subject-object dichotomy has been the central philosophical problem in the philosophy of science as well as in aesthetics for as long as they've been around. Now, seemingly, science, aesthetics, art, they represent opposite poles, don't they? We tend to think of them as oppositional. I'd like to suggest that they're really dialectical. Now, art is about what makes us human, but so is science. Art is more about the senses and the emotions, subjectivity, while science is about logic and reason, objectivity.
Between the subjectivity and objectivity, there lies a gray area, and this is where the science of art lies. This is where scientific principles and imagination come together. If it's not for the art of science, where a scientist must draw out something he observes, or if it's from the science of art, where an artist wants to portray something and he needs to go to mathematic and scientific structures of the way we see the world to accurately portray what he's trying to see. And so, in the science of art, there are many different types of these mathematical systems. The most prominent is called a perspective system, and this is what gives depth to an image. This is what makes things look smaller as they get further away. This is a way of putting something that's in the 3D real world onto a two-dimensional piece of paper.
By the time we're adults, we stop drawing, and simple compositions like this seem confusing. After teaching art for more than a decade, I've noticed a lot of things. One of my biggest observations is practically every student that I've ever taught has had ample motor skills. But learning to draw is more about teaching a person how to see, or in the case of perspective, how to translate the three-dimensional world onto a flat sheet of paper.